Hi, I'm Melissa John. I am a former project manager turned chronic illness mentor, writer, and motivational speaker. Um, and, well, I would be lying if I said I planned this, completely lying, because this was not planned at all. But that's life and that's how it goes. And I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're probably in a period of life where you didn't quite plan it either and shit is going crazy. So, I've told bits and pieces of my story here and there, but I don't think I've ever really told it start to finish um, without glossing over some pieces. So, why would you want to watch this if you're a patient or someone who's undiagnosed, or you know something's not right, or if you just want to hear a crazy story? Stick around. So, and I'm telling this because I'm one of the people who, I don't know if you've watched Afflicted or Unrest or any of these stories that are meant to give you a better view into some of these complex, weird, is it psychosomatic? Is it a real disease? Illnesses like ME/CFS, Lyme disease, the real Lyme disease, um, and so on. So this I'm one of those patients. So I want to tell my story because there's not enough of us that are being portrayed completely truthfully. Unrest did a very good job of that, but that's because it was produced by somebody who is living this life. But Afflicted, um, I'm not even gonna go there. It's really sad the way that they spun that story. But anyway, so I well, let's start of who I was before all of this. So I have always been an overachiever. You can go find my old teachers. I always kicked ass at school. I was head cheerleader for most of my high school career. I graduated pretty high in my class with a high GPA. I did the same in college. I graduated with honors. I pretty much tackled everything that I wanted to do at 150% and crushed it all the time. And that sounds like I'm bragging, but you know what? I should brag. Like, you should brag. If you're a fucking badass, you should brag. But I kicked ass. And so started my adult life post college. And I was a technical project manager working with software projects. First for a government contractor, then for a private um, mobile insurance company. And I was doing a pretty good job killing it there. I was best known for being the people whisperer, healing dysfunctional teams, going on teams that just really weren't working well, and then helping get them on track. And I was known as a people whisperer because that's all that really is at the end of the day are people problems. And that's one of my passions. So anyway, things were great. You have little bumps in life. I had a really serious relationship that, was like, we're talking about engagement that didn't work out. That was rough. I was a senior at the Virginia Tech shootings at Tech. Life happens. Like, there are ups and downs. And consequently, just as much as there were some shitty parts of life, there were also some really amazing parts. And then 2010 came, and at the end of 2010, actually, almost to the day 8 years ago, I got the Gardasil vaccine. This is a part of my story I usually skip over because it is so controversial. And I really just haven't wanted to deal with all of the people who are the pro-vax, the anti-vax. Honestly, I'm neither. And I think the extreme of either is just a mess. But anyway, I'm going to talk about it. So it was mid-October. I remember I was really excited because the upcoming weekend was one of my really good friends, Eric's birthday, and I was super excited that all of my friends were gonna get together and we were gonna go dancing because one thing I didn't mention, I love to dance, love 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 to dance. So I went for a regular doctor's checkup, physical, I don't know, something regular. And the nurse practitioner at the time, I believe was my doctor, asked me if I had the Gardasil vaccine. I don't know, I think I was 24, 5, 6 at the time. And I was like, no. I mean, I had been, for the most part, in a serious committed relationship for most of my life, but I was single at the time, and so she brought it up, Gardasil vaccine, and I was like, what's that? And she's like, oh, HPV, blah, 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 cervical cancer, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I know that can be a thing, but isn't that why we get checked every freaking year? And she's like, yeah, and she goes on and basically kind of, my gut when she brought it up was, yeah, I don't need that. No thanks. But she goes on and basically focuses very much on how I'm single, aka that means I don't know what my new partner, whoever that is, whether it's the guy I marry next or I go and bang 200 people, is going to be carrying good Lord, or that, HPV. And anyway, after a long conversation where she's kind of like honing on and on about, oh my god, HPV, and I'm like asking questions like, well, are there a lot of studies, is it safe, XYZ, oh yeah, whatever. Anyway, after lots of peer pressure and fear, I caved, and instead of listening to my gut, I said yes. And that was the point. That was the single point decision that I made that changed my life drastically. So from that point on, immediately after I got sick, I remember because that party was coming up, and within 24 hours I had a cough, and like I was like, oh crap, I must have got a cold at the doctor's office. That's what I thought. But I was disappointed because I was like, man, like this, I'm really looking forward to this party. And anyway, that turned out to be mono number 1. I say mono number 1 because I've had documented mono 3 times. Documented meaning they took my blood and proved it, but the reality is I've had it much more than that. I can tell when it reactivates. And from 2010 to 2016, I kept getting hit with thing after thing after thing, chronic condition after chronic condition after chronic condition. And I kept going to the doctor because prior to this, I was never sick like this ever in my entire life, ever. So mono number 1 happens. It's a 4-month stint. I am dog sick, sleeping all the time. They didn't diagnose me to month 3 because if I remember correctly, which I do, I went in several times and I was pleading with the doctor, like, you have to do something. I have never been sick like this, and it keeps changing, and I'm sleeping all the time, and I'm missing all this work, and I can't miss work because my boss just got fired, and you know how life is. And excuse me. She looked at me and said, honey, I think it's just bad luck, and patted my knee. Finally, by month 3, I guess I was so psycho-seeming that she actually was like, okay, let me test you. And then she called me and was like, oh yeah, you do have mono. Thank you for confirming what my gut already knew. Something wasn't right. So that happened, and then a few months later, oh, by the way, prior to this, I had never had an abnormal pap, I had never had HPV, I had never had any problems with my uterus at all. I also don't usually talk about this stuff. So immediately following that, So the year following that, I had, for almost 2 years after that, I had abnormal paps. One, and then I had to do the test, the biopsy that they do after that multiple times. And so sometimes the cells were abnormal, sometimes they weren't abnormal. Oh, I didn't have HPV. It was just an abnormal pap. Oh, 8 months later, you do have HPV. It's funny because I hadn't slept with anyone new. Let's talk about that for a second. And so, oh, the other thing I forgot, a year after that shot, all of a sudden I randomly developed yeast infections. I'd never had one before, ever. And for a year straight, I pretty much had a yeast infection unless I was taking medication to suppress it. They even put me on that medication for like 6 weeks because they're like, oh, we just need to reset your system. You know, the mono probably messed up your immune system, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the entire year. And then all of a sudden, it stopped. But this kept happening. So mono was 4 months. I've had that 3 times. Then I had yeast infections and uterus problems for a year. And this is all layered on top of each other, happening at the same time. I start having weird reactions to things. I have a standard test that has contrast, and I have a severe allergic reaction to the contrast, but not one they had seen before. And I end up with this weird skin infection on my face. And so I kept weird thing after weird thing after weird thing after weird thing for years. Finally, at some point in 2013 or 14, I got chronic laryngitis for a year. For a year, I lost my voice and had sexy voice, which sounds really fun. But when I like to karaoke with my friends, it wasn't so fun when all of a sudden my range changed every freaking day. Then, of course, you know, I went to a doctor for that, and, oh, you used it too much. Okay, I mean, yeah, I talk a lot, but I have been talking a lot my entire life. You know, maybe if I was, like, 60, I would buy that, but please. But I went with it because I had no other help. Every other doctor that I saw was like, yeah, that's weird. I'd pull out my bulleted list of things, and they would be like, oh, yeah, that's weird. Oh, you had mono X amount of times? That's not possible. Here's the blood work. I mean, yeah, it's possible, but that's strange. And, oh, you've had this, and oh, you've had that. And but the thing was, there were all different systems. Oh, my uterus. Oh, my immune system. Oh, I mean, it was head to toe. They're just like, oh, yeah, you've had a rough few years. Yeah, you think it's just that? Because I don't. Something else seems wrong. And they just smiled and patronized me, and it's fine. You're young. It'll be okay. Then December of 2014, I got shingles right before my 30th birthday. I caught it early. And again, I got oh, that's so weird. Shingles usually happens in old people at this point. I was so used to hearing that. I was like, oh, really? Shocking. And the doctor then said to me again, you're young, we caught it early, it won't be that bad. It won't be that bad. So I stayed home because there were people at my office. I had never had chicken pox, and for 3 weeks I stayed home in excruciating pain, mostly naked because I couldn't have anything touching me. I couldn't even breathe on it was up here. And 2 months after, for 3 weeks I stayed home, around 6 weeks, I'm like, okay, according to Google, this should go away soon. But it kept getting worse. And it kept getting worse. Now the rash was gone. The Valtrex or whatever antiviral they gave me, hey, it worked. The rash, gone. And it went quickly. You can't even see very much scarring from it, honestly. But the pain, oh my God, the pain. It just got worse and worse until I was at the point, and I was a girl before this that didn't take Tylenol for headaches unless I had excruciating migraine and I really would rather die. I didn't jump and take meds. I hated taking meds. I did the natural stuff the best that I could. I took care of myself. I worked out. I danced. I was active. I was kick-ass at my career. And okay, so shingles. Go to the doctor at this point, and I'm like, hi, everything's been gone for a while, and I want to cut my arm off. Literally, please cut my arm off or give me some, do something. I need you to do something. I'm snapping at people at work. I can't sleep. Oh my God. Yeah, you did say you were a rare patient. I remember that. Oh, well, it's probably just, sometimes in a certain percentage of patients, the pain lasts a little bit longer, but it'll probably clear up in 4 months. Here's some gabapentin. That was 2014. It is now 2018, and I'm just letting you know right now, from here to my arm is on fire right now. I am still in pain, and I have been in pain every single day and every single minute since then. But I thought I was young, and we caught it early. What the fuck? That was the first, I had been slowly declining since 2010, and that 2014 took me like down a whole notch. My sleep became disrupted. I couldn't sleep because of the pain. I couldn't wear a lot of my clothes. I had to change textures of clothing. I couldn't wear bras. I couldn't wear necklaces anymore. I couldn't wear heavy material. So winter, I started only wearing like vests, which would flare my arm, but it was better than a big coat. It changed my life in every way possible. That one. And it decreased it. My social life went to shit because I was in so much pain all the time. It was draining my energy. And then I was also working. So working, trying to like suppress dealing with the pain, and then trying to, be a normal professional human being, when your arm's on fire and stabbing you and all sorts of things. It was quite a challenge. So I was exhausted. By the end of the week, I would come home Friday at like a, say a regular time, pass out to like mid-morning the next day. I was so exhausted because I hadn't been sleeping, yet I was depleted of energy. So the only time I would sleep would be when I was so beyond exhausted, my body just crashed. Wouldn't eat, I wouldn't wake up, done. So that, I lived like that for 2 years. And then 2016 came. And during this time, like I said, I was healing from chronic laryngitis. I mean, I'm juggling 10 things at a time. I forgot when mono number 3 popped up. It might have been during that time. Who knows? I have the dates somewhere. I don't have them in front of me. So anyway, 2016 comes, and it's around summer, and I get the flu. I don't know it's the flu at first because my entire body is in such excruciating pain. I don't know what's happening, and I think it started with my pain area jumps up, but then it went everywhere, and I was like, what is happening? And anyway, and then it wasn't until about 4 or 5 hours later my fever hit. Anyway, at that point, I could not get from my kitchen to my bathroom or my living room to my kitchen. I was so weak and so much pain, and so, I'm a young girl. I'm like 32. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, the flu sucks for everybody. But the way it was hitting me was like I'm a baby or an old person, like the people who they really want to get the flu shot. And my mom had to come take care of me for like a week. So about 6 weeks later, I get another virus. I don't even know what it is. Knocks me out the same way. And as this is happening, I'm never fully recovering. I'm like having less and less energy. And then by August, I get some like stomach virus, and again, knocks me on my ass. My mom has to take care of me. That was the first week of August. First, like, I remember it was like the end of July, and I remember August 1st. It was turning right into August. And the actual symptoms of the stomach flu lasted for like a couple days. Like the throwing up, the, other stuff. It lasted for a couple days. But my fatigue and my lack of energy and being weak, it never went away. I mean, it had already been there because I'd been in pain and blah, blah, blah. But I had been here, and now I was here. And I seemed healed. My virus seemed healed, but I like couldn't make it back up. So the entire month of August, I spent, like, my office, thank you, you know who you are, let me work from home a lot. They were very flexible with my hours. I was exhausted a lot, and they knew that, but they let me take the time that I needed to rest. But in August, the longest day that I spent physically in the office was 6 hours, and that was August 31st. It took me a month to be able to function in my office for 6 hours, and that day I was so done. When I got home, I passed out and didn't wake up till the morning. At this point, I realized, okay, I knew the entire 6 years something is not right, and I've been working on it. I had been changing my diet, and I had been taking Epsom salt baths all the time, and reading and studying and doing as much as I could to try to like support my system, because something clearly was not right. I knew it in my gut. And I was like maintaining, and then shingles, and I was like maintaining, and then August 2016, and I was like, please, old life. Anyway, so at that point, I'm like, okay, I need to go back to the doctors. So I went, and for 2 months straight, I had about 4 or 5 appointments every single week. Again, thank you to my job for being flexible. Thank you to my boss for being flexible. I'm not kidding. And between blood work, between tests, between different specialists, they poked and prodded me every which they looked at everything they possibly could. Head MRIs and neck MRIs and endoscopies, and because all my systems were broken. The other part was my digestion was a freaking mess. Like, even though I didn't have that stomach virus anymore, like, my appetite, everything was a freaking mess. And so they do all these tests, and they find hardly anything. Really, hardly anything. They find a sphenoid sinusitis infection, which is funny because I usually never had sinus problems, and now I had one in the hardest sinus to like actually reach, and the one closest to your brain, which is the most dangerous. They found that, and then I tested positive for one of the Lyme disease tests, but not the second one. Even though I did have antibodies for Lyme disease, specific to Lyme disease, multiple ones, they were not at the level which the CDC deems appropriate. Meaning, like, mine were like here, and they're like, well, unless you have this many, even though it's Lyme specific, unless you have this many, you don't have Lyme disease. Like, okay, well, hey y'all. At this point, I have 40 to 50 symptoms. I am declining very fast. Something is very wrong, and you're telling me nothing's wrong. What? And all the specialists were like, yeah, well, I think maybe you need to talk to this person and this person. Yeah, in my area, you're fine. Nothing's wrong. Even though your system's not working. That was pretty much what it was. And then I got lucky. In April of 2016, so about not even 6 months before this, I created Spoonie Cult, it started on Twitter as just a way to connect with other chronic illness folks, because I knew something was wrong. I was in chronic pain all the time, still am, but I didn't have a diagnosis, so I didn't even know who to talk to. I would read, and all my symptoms, they overlapped all of these diseases, and I just was like, do I have 10,000 diseases? Like, who do I talk to? What patients do I even talk to? And so I created this on myself. really to tell people what I needed to hear. It's gonna be okay. You can make it through this shitty day. Oh, you're having a really bad flare? I'm with you. You know, breathe. I'm thinking about you. I'm sending you love. And really, that's how Spoonie Call grew. I just told people what I needed to hear, but that nobody was telling me, because doctors were saying I wasn't sick. So because doctors are saying I wasn't sick, then, I mean, my family, I'm lucky, my mom and my brother know me. They know me. They, they knew something wasn't right, but they didn't know what. And my friends and my family and my work, I have nothing to tell them. Well, I'm in pain all the time, and I have all these 1,000 other things, but so people just thought like I was being dramatic or over exaggerating, or I don't know, and I look good, so I must not be sick. That was pretty much the census, and people weren't doing it to be malicious. I know that. I know they weren't being malicious. It's just I didn't look sick. Nobody that was a supposed expert could figure out what was going on, so it must be fine, right? So anyway, I created Spoonie Call to tell other patients, provide the comfort to them, the best that I could, that I needed and I wasn't getting. And that ended up being my saving grace. Spoonie Call, that community was my saving grace. So when I was going through these battery of tests in September and October of 2016, the sweethearts that they were, people wanted to know, okay, tell us what test you're doing, what's going on. Why? Because I had people with all different kinds of illnesses, so most of them had gone through a lot of these different tests. They were able to give me tips. They were able to tell me what to expect and different tips. And so when I told some of them, when I posted that I had a positive ELISA test but a negative Western blot, I had several people reach out to me and go, wait a minute, with all of these symptoms, you need to look into that. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, isn't, I don't have a rash, and the doctors are saying it's definitely not Lyme disease, And anyway, long story short there, I watched some documentaries. 30 seconds into the first one, I was bawling because it was the first time I related to another patient in 6 years. And I was like, shit, something's here. They have something here. Like, this is definitely part of it. And so I said, screw you to all the other doctors that were pretty much throwing their hands up at me anyway. And I went and I found a doctor that specialized in treating Lyme disease. Or really not even just Lyme, complex systemic illness. Because once you're this sick, it's not one thing. It's 1,000 things layered. So that was November of 2016. I started treating Lyme disease. And from then to April of 2018, I was very focused on healing all of the infections and the bacteria, viruses, all of the different things that were triggered and flaring because my immune system was suppressed and not working properly. And I thought, okay, I have Lyme disease. It's Lyme disease. It's gonna be hell. I mean, I'm already in hell. By this point, right before this, in October of 2016, I thought I was dying. I didn't want to die, but I had so many symptoms, and you can read on my blog later a whole list of them. And everything was malfunctioning. I was like, there's no other explanation. I am dying. And I just prayed. I prayed that it happened fast. It was so hard. I just prayed. I was like, please, I don't know how long I can do this. Please, if I'm dying, I just need it to happen fast. And then Spoonie Call intervened, and I was like, okay, maybe there's something I can do here. And so I went and I treated Lyme disease. And slowly, month after month, slowly, I mean, it was a fucking zigzag fucked up. I mean, they say success is not like this. It's like, I mean, healing is the same way, FYI, in case anyone's wondering. But I started peeling off symptoms. I started peeling slowly, and it was hard. God, it was hard. My body was so sensitive to everything. Everything. I know now, but I didn't know then. It would send my system would get sent into shock very easily. So, for example, the first time they changed this, my body went into shock, which is really fun. Really not fun. Because all of your autonomic nervous system processes go berserk. And if you think about everything in your body that you don't have to think about, like breathing, going to the bathroom, your heart rate, when all those things go crazy, it's not very fun. But anyway, around November, December of 2017. Now it's been a year at this point that I've been treating Lyme and all of the freaking co-infections and stuff that goes with it. And honestly, that is a story in and of itself. I mean, it's just that disease, and really what the label Lyme stands for, it really is an umbrella term for your immune system ain't working, so you ended up with 1,000 infections that are fucking you up. Pretty much is what it means. So anyway, around about a year into treating, certain things have improved, but I'm noticing certain things are getting worse. I'm noticing my fatigue is getting worse, which seems odd to me. My post-exertional malaise, which basically means when I exert myself physically or mentally, I exert myself this much, my exhaustion goes this much. I mean, it's basically very disproportionate to what a healthy person is. So whereas someone might have this much energy, a decently healthy person who, functions normally, I seemed to have this much. So I would read a book, I'm using my brain, and then I would need to rest. I would talk to someone about something intelligent, and then I would need to rest. I would go for a walk around the block, and then I would need to rest. It was just I started noticing that the nice thing was I wasn't in bed 24/7. That was a win, which it really was, but I wasn't really able to function the way that I used to. I was just exhausted. And so this was frustrating because I had other symptoms coming off, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. And my body's like, fuck you. And I'm like, what's happening? But really though. So, I started noticing some stuff. My infection symptoms were getting better. So the constant fever and weird stuff with that, and certain pain, and the joint pain, and just a lot of things related to what you would imagine an infection feels like the flu, sort of. All of those things that I felt constantly, my vertigo, my headaches, my chronic headaches, my even my tinnitus was getting a little better, but my post-exertional malaise wasn't. I started to notice things around my nervous system didn't seem to be improving. So I'm observing this for a few months, and it's not obvious right away. It was just around that time I started noticing hey, some stuff's improving. Some stuff doesn't seem like it is. In fact, it seems like it is getting worse, which, what the hell, if we're treating Lyme and we're fixing that, why is other things happening? So I around the same time, my doctor, my other patient friend, and my shrink all literally in the same week. Talk about universal intervention, by the way. In the same week, they all brought it up that they thought I might have POTS, which is postural tachycardia, no, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Okay, sorry, I had a lot of times I need to, never mind. It's hard for me to process things sometimes. Which is a nervous system disorder. And since I had a lot of problems with nerves and my nervous system, that didn't seem that shocking to me. And the more I learned about it, the more I was like, yeah, actually this is why showers kick my fucking ass. Like, so I have to rest after a shower. And anyway, so it basically means that your nervous system really just isn't communicating well with the rest of your body. So then when you need it to communicate, for example, when you stand up, you need it to tell your muscles and your veins, like, hey, we gotta constrict so we keep some blood up, because gravity likes to pull it down. And my nervous system wasn't doing that. It was like, hey. So then what happens is blood starts going all the way down. Oh my God, all of a sudden, you don't have enough blood in your brain, and that screws shit up. And then your heart is like, oh my God, you don't have enough blood in your brain. And your heart's like, let me work harder. Might be why I'm getting tired quicker. Anyway, long story short, right around the same time as I stopped treating Lyme, I started seeing a cardiologist for POTS, and dysautonomia, which is basically your nervous system is not functioning properly in multiple systems in your body. So for me, the other area that's causing a lot of problems was my digestion. My motility slowed down, which means that the rate at which I'm digesting is not working properly. Might be why my appetite's fucked up. Might be why some days I would eat breakfast at, like a normal time in the morning, and then I wouldn't be hungry all day. And then around midnight, all of a sudden, I would get nauseous. I'd be in so much pain, and then I would throw everything up that I ate that morning. Anyway, it started explaining all these things that were still happening and getting worse, which was fantastic. By fantastic, I mean it's lovely to make progress from a mental standpoint, from the standpoint of when I got the Lyme diagnosis and I was like, okay, I just have to get through this hell. I just have to get through this hell, and then I'm going to be okay. And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, here's another hell that no one understands very well. It's kind of hard to get under control. This also goes the post-exertional malaise. So I've also come to learn that the post-exertional malaise that I have is much more severe than just a POTS patient, which is where I would align more with the ME/CFS patient, which is one of the diseases that got bastardized and afflicted. Sham of a show. It's definitely not a docu-series. It's more like a reality TV show where they spin the story to be what they want. But anyway, so this view that and today I am in the process of trying to retrain my nervous system to start working, meaning I do PT, but PT for me is not like you're imagining it. It's very, very small and basic, and I just try to take these tiny baby steps to try to challenge it a little bit more and get it trying to talk again to my body and get the POTS under control, and just essentially I need my nervous system to heal for me to get better. It's been 4 years that I've had nerve damage in this arm, and I'm still in pain every single day, and I'm still on gabapentin as well as Cymbalta for it. It is much better than it was in year 1 and year 2 and year 3, but it's still every day. That tells me that the nervous system has the ability to heal. Absolutely, I believe it does. But it might not be as fast as I want it to be. So that's where I am today. Now, I just told you the story of sort of how it was from my perspective then. Meaning the vaccine I used to gloss over. I used to just say, I have Lyme disease and it's a bastard disease. But the reality is I have 10 to 15 diagnoses And it all started with vaccine. And what I have come to understand at this point is that the vaccine damaged my immune system, which then allowed different infections and viruses to come forth, which is why I kept getting mono, which is why I got shingles, which is why I got Lyme disease. It allowed all these infections that either were already present in my body or I got at a later date, more likely already present, to flare up and take over my system. As it was doing that, Lyme disease is known to really damage the nervous system. Gardasil is actually known to really damage the nervous system. So honestly, I do wonder if it started damaging it then. I just didn't know enough back then to really observe the symptoms as closely as I understand my body now. So I can't say. But I do know it screwed up my immune system for sure, which then allowed a lot of stuff to come in, which then screwed up my nervous system. And now I've hopefully beat back a lot of the stuff that the visitors that were causing me hell. And I say hopefully because it still feels like it waxes and wanes. But like my goal and my hope is that I have put those to bed, like got my immune system supported it enough to keep those under wraps. And so hopefully there's no more damage happening to my nervous system. Pray for me. And hopefully we can start to heal that. And that's my story. And why is this important? It's important because I am a 33-year-old single female who should be fucking loving life. And don't get me wrong, mindset plays a lot in healing. So I have found ways to love my life and be grateful for certain things. But I should be out and dating and kicking ass in my career. My career has been on hold since March of 2017. And it would have been one thing if I had decided, like, this isn't for me and I want to go do something else, you know? But I didn't decide that. I didn't really get the chance. The shit fucking knocked me on my ass. And then when I thought it couldn't knock me any further, it knocked me further. And then when I thought it couldn't knock me any further, it knocked me further. And now I've come to just, you know, roll with the punches. But it's important because I should be conquering the world. I look like I could conquer the world. If I didn't have this PICC line, which has been a godsend, honestly. I mentioned I reacted to a lot of things. This helped avoid the digestive tract. Anyway, if I didn't have it, you wouldn't think I'm sick because I rest so that I can do this. I rest so that I can walk to Starbucks, which is basically downstairs and around the corner. I rest so I can hang out with friends. By hang out, I mean I do this. You know, they might be drinking and hanging out, and I'm like trying to help my heart not go crazy because of the pot. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to take advantage and rest. I mean, what people see is this. They see, you know, hey, I'm functioning. But the reality is it's because I spend the majority of my time doing things to support my body, rest, so that I can do this. And I didn't make any of this up. It's not psychosomatic. For the record, I do have a shrink. I've been seeing him since I got nerve damage. Because this is chronic illness is hard. It's hard to have an illness that people can't see. People think cancer is way worse than this. You should never compare, for the record. But honestly, sometimes people like me are jealous of people with cancer. You know why? Because you get a result one way or another. You either get better or you die. And I promise you, death would have been the easier route. It would have been the easier route. I don't think anyone should take it. I want anyone else who's watching this, who's where I was in 2014 or 2016 or even 2012. I want you to know that you can get better. And if you're watching this and you're only at my 2012 stage or my 2014 stage, dude, you have an idea of what's going on. You can beat it. You know, a lot of people have taken their life. Please, you have way too much off the world to do that. But my point is that we get dismissed so much. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're just making it up. Oh, you're being lazy. Oh, this, oh, that. Well, at least you don't have cancer. It's the kind of shit we hear. If you're watching this, then you know that. I mean, if you're watching this and you relate to my story, then you know that. And I want to tell you, fucking don't listen to those people. Okay, I believe you. All of the patients and afflicted, all of the patients in Spoonie Call that I have come to love, they believe you. We believe you. Okay, if something doesn't feel right in your gut, it's not right. The difference is it's time for you to take control. You know, fuck the experts. Okay, if the experts aren't fucking helping you, fuck them. Okay, find somebody who has your back. Have your own back. And be courageous enough to look outside of the box. And I know you're tired. Oh God, I know you're tired. I've been tired for 8 years. But what I mean by that is I get it. I know it's hard. So the days that are really hard, fucking take a break. Cry it out. Write it out. And in a few hours, it's a new day. Or tomorrow, it's a new day. Or next week. I mean, that's how you survive. And thrive. We can thrive like this, okay? We might not fit into the norms of society. You know, I can't go work at 9 to 5 right now. It would put me in bed. One day of that would put me in bed for weeks, likely. But what I'm doing is I'm learning to work within the limits of my body, to give my body what it needs so that, and the time and the attention and the effort that it needs to heal. And in the meantime, I'm going to try to work between that to offer the value that I have to offer the world. And that's all any of us can do. But the most important thing that I want you to take away from this is that you can get through it. I'm still dead set in the middle of it, but I know I can get through it, and you have to know that. It's okay if some days you don't. It's okay if some days you're like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. That's okay. What matters is the core at the end of it. Like, you know you can get there. And fuck anyone else who doesn't hear you and support you and believe you. Screw them. Get rid of them from your life. If it's someone you can't get rid of, distance them as much as you can, because they are toxic for your healing, okay? You don't have to look sick to be sick. I am a testament to that. I look like I'm in pretty good shape. I'm decent. I'm small. I'm, I don't know, 100 and something pounds. Like, I look like I'm in great shape. I make jokes. I laugh. But that's because I choose to. You have to choose to. They damn you if you don't. Oh, you're just so negative and that's why you're sick. Or you're psycho and you're lying if you do. Oh my God, well, why? I mean, you're talking and you're having fun, so you must not be sick. Oh God, they're gonna damn you either way, so fuck them. And do you, and find what you need to improve. And this is to all my patients with complex illnesses, all the patients who are undiagnosed, whose story sounds like mine in any capacity. I feel you. I see you. I am you. And I am telling you, we can do it. You can heal. You can be successful in a different capacity. You know, I feel like I'm starting over. I can't do my career the way that I learned to do my career in a 9 to 5, face to face, XYZ. So instead, I'm looking at what can I do? I have a massive amount of skills. I just can't use them for long periods of time. Okay, so how do I break that down and use them in bits and then still add value to the world? Anyway, and by the way, this whole add value part, this kind of thinking isn't every day, and it doesn't come until you're out of crisis mode. You can think about it, but when your body's in crisis mode, don't let anyone tell you that you should be figuring out how to add value to the world. Use it to inspire yourself. Have those dreams for yourself. But when you're in crisis mode, take care of your body first, okay? And then it comes to this period where I just got a weird head thing. But you get this period where you're in the middle. You're like, I'm not as sick as I was. I mean, I've come so far. In fact, I should be grateful. I am grateful. But I realize where I want to be, which is the old me, and I'm probably never gonna get there, because by the time I do, I would have been a different person anyway. So that's okay. But now it's getting to be too much for me, because this is how I can tell I start not being able to function. Okay, that tells me that it's time for me to end this and rest. Because I forgot what I was saying. But if you're somebody who hasn't been through this, I'm telling this story so that you understand. If you're someone who knows me, you know how fucking kick-ass I am. You know how fucking badass I am. You know how I was in corporate. You know how I was in school. You know. Nobody would choose to throw all that away. Nobody would be making 6 figures, kicking ass at life, and be like, you know, I feel like being disabled. That looks more fun. Trust me, it's not. What you see is a lot of work to be like this, and I don't regret it. It's a journey. I've learned so much. I think I can help people at least know that they're not alone. I know I can help people, so I don't regret it, but I also would never want to go back to the fall of 2016, or I don't ever want to be back there. So anyway, if you're watching this and you aren't sick or whatever, either, I don't know if you have a loved one or what, but know that not everything is as you seem. Not everything is as it seems. And people with these complex symptom illnesses, we need your support just as much as people with cancer, I promise you. Treating made me much sicker before it made me much better, just like cancer. The one benefit was I didn't lose my hair, yay. But almost every other part of that I did have for months. And I still do sometimes. So please just understand that just because you can't see it all the time, just because we don't show it all the time, just because the whole world doesn't know it yet, doesn't mean that it's not real. Okay, there was a time that HIV, whatever, and then it was like, oh my god, we don't know what it is, but stay the fuck away from these people. And now we're like, okay, now we understand it a bit better. We understand how to contain it. We understand. At some point, cancer was the same way. Like, now it's so prevalent, people are like, oh shit. I promise you, these illnesses are the same way. The amount of people I have run into who have these experiences is insane. like way more. I mean, it's rare, but is it? I don't know. You know, like a lot of people don't like to talk about it because of all the hate they get from it, and all the is it in their head? Are they crazy? You know, what I can tell you is you really can't understand until you've lived it, until you're willing your body with every ounce of willpower you have to move, and you can't. It sounds crazy, I get it, but I'm here and I'm not crazy. You want to ask my shrink, he'll tell you. And I've lived it, and God, it's hard. So we need your support, you know, whether that's helping us with laundry or house chores or just telling somebody that you believe them. We need your support. We need it so much more than we let on. So much more. So, okay, if you stayed with me the whole time, oh my goodness, I'm sorry this was so long. Thank you. Subscribe, follow me, help me get the word out, help me connect with other patients, help me let other people know that they're not alone and that it's going to be okay, and that these crazy stories help me help people find their diagnoses, you know? And most of all, help me help people heal. The biggest part of healing is feeling safe, meaning your body needs to feel safe. It needs to not be in fight or flight mode, which you end up being in. People who are sick end up being in a lot. Which means, what that basically means is you need to reduce stress. And a big stressor for me all those years was all those doctors that told me, you're fine. Like, you're making a big deal out of nothing. So stop telling people that. Remove that stress for them. Help create a safe space. Help find them real good doctors who specialize in these weird, undesirable cases. Because that's what they need. Okay, but help me help people heal. They need to know they're not alone, and they need to know that they're believed. Okay, my system needs a break. So, thank you. Again, I'm Melissa John, former project manager, Churn Cyborg. That's my little joke. Thanks to a neighbor of mine. Cyborg, writer, motivational speaker, chronic illness mentor, and resident badass. Till next time, thank you.